In this application, we wanted to sort this list collection, which, by the way, is the same way you sort an array collection. But we wanted to sort this list collection here in the Flex application after it came back from the database, and we wanted to do it in a way that provided a little bit more fine-tuning than just sorting on date or sorting on date and then sorting on these two factors here. So what we did is we created a function that's going to assign a value to the date and then multiply that value times these two numbers, which range from 1 to 5. And here in the local environment, I just set that function to fire when we click on this button. So let's take a look at what that looks like in Flex. If we scroll down to that button, that will eventually be bringing up a pop-up window, but right now we're just going to use it to fire this sort function. So let's take a look at that function. The button send message click handler now is going to actually fire a function called figure out sort number. And if we look at that function up here, this is what we're doing, and this is exactly how you do a sort, the bottom part anyway, in an array collection or a list collection. But this one was a little bit different. First thing we do is we create 3 variables here. The first one that we're calling current date is just going to hold today's date, and obviously the I is the normal thing for doing loops. And then we have another one called date factor, and what we're doing is of course doing a loop through all the items in the list collection, which is the data for that list that we were looking at. And for each item in that list collection, we're going to determine first a number that we're calling date factor, and we're doing that by taking the target date, the date we want the next action to be completed by, and subtracting today's date, the current date. And because all these date things in Flex are done in milliseconds, we then have to divide that by a factor of 24 hours times 60 minutes times 60 seconds times 1,000 milliseconds. But anyway, after we do that and cast it as an integer, we're going to be given a number, and we use that number to figure out our date factor that we're going to use in our sort. And so, in other words, if we do our little subtraction here and we wind up with a number that is equal to or greater than 10, i.e. this next action is due in 10 or more days from now, we're going to assign it a value of 1. So our date factor is never going to be less than 1. And as we get closer to today's date with our target date, we increase that date factor by 1 all the way until we get to the point of today. And today we're going to give it a factor of 10. And again, we want this to never be greater than 10. We want our number to always, our date factor is always going to be between 1 and 10. So if this next action should be completed by today or at any point in the past, right? It's supposed to be done today or last week or last year. It's going to get a date factor of 10. It's never going to be greater than 10. So we go through the item, we do our little subtraction, and we figure out how far away it is or how far in the past it is, and we assign it a date factor of between 1 and 10. And then, after we get our little number here, we look into our list collection, and we have a column coming over from the database called sort number. Okay, so if we look at that sort number field right here, it's empty, coming over from the database with no data in it. We're going to supply that data here in the Flex application. So we take that sort number and we're going to give it a value, and that value is basically going to be our date factor, our 1 through 10 number, and we're going to multiply that by the target hardness, and then we're going to multiply that by the importance, those two 1 through 5 numbers we looked at on the list. And that's going to be our actual sort number. And then we do our actual sort. This is how you do a sort on an array collection or list collection in Flex. We create a variable that we're going to call data sort field, and it's of the type sort field. And this is actually an object with a bunch of different variables inside of it. So we're going to set our data sort field dot name to sort number, and our data sort dot numeric equals true. We're basically just declaring that yes, it is a 1, 2, 3 sort, not an ABC sort. And then we're going to declare that we want this descending. We want the biggest sort number at the top and the smallest at the bottom. And if, by the way, you're doing it in ascending order, you don't have to do anything. That's the default value. Okay, and then we're going to create our sort object and add the sort object created earlier to it. So we're going to do declare our numeric data sort, and then we're going to feed it the data sort field, which is right here, and it has the name of sort number, right? That's right here in our list collection. And then we're going to do the actual sort, and then we're going to refresh our list collection. This is the sort function of the list collection. That's a function available to all list collection or array collections in Flex. And so that's what happens when we click this button. And if we go back and take a look at this, this is how the stuff is coming over from the database. When we click the send message button, it actually doesn't send a message, it actually fires our little sorting function, and there you go. Now obviously when we get into production, we want this sort to happen automatically when it comes over from the database. There'll be no button clicking to have things sorted, it'll just happen. But this way we can actually see the sort. If we want to see it again, we actually have to refresh it from the database, because one of the things about Flex sorts is once you apply a sort to an array collection or a list collection, it doesn't matter what you do to that array collection or list collection after that. We can filter it and then unfilter it. It doesn't really matter, including adding and removing items from the array collection. It maintains the sort. Anyway, we're going to click the button and sort it again. There we go. So that's it.